Vanessa slid a paper across the conference table, her smile sharp as glass. Your father's will is very clear. You get $50,000. Derek and I are inheriting the company. I felt the room tilt. $50,000. My father built a $600 million company, and she was telling me he left me the price of a car. But that wasn't even the worst part. My name is Maya. I'm 29 years old. 3 days earlier, I'd buried my father. The funeral was massive. Employees, clients, people from the community he'd helped for decades. My dad was self-made, brilliant, and kind in a quiet way. After my mom died when I was 16, it was just us. We were close. Really close. I'd worked at his tech consulting firm since I graduated college. Started as an intern, worked my way up to senior project manager. I loved the work. I loved learning from him. I never once asked what I'd inherit. I just wanted more time. My brother Derek is 6 years older than me, 35. He always chased status, flashy cars, expensive suits, the kind of confidence that comes from never being told no. 4 years ago, he married Vanessa. After that, he barely visited Dad unless he needed money. When Dad died suddenly from a heart attack 2 weeks ago, I was shattered. Vanessa swooped in immediately, playing the grieving daughter-in-law, taking charge of the funeral arrangements, the flowers, the guest list. I was so numb with grief, I let her. I trusted them. That was my mistake. Has your family ever treated you like this? Share your story below, because what happened next, I wouldn't wish on anyone. 3 days after the funeral, Vanessa called me into the conference room at company headquarters. She said it was time to discuss the estate. I thought she meant we'd meet with Mr. Richardson, Dad's attorney for 20 years. I was wrong. When I walked in, Derek was there. So was the HR director, Linda, looking pale and uncomfortable, and Vanessa, sitting at the head of the table like she already owned the place. No lawyer. That should have been my first red flag. Vanessa slid a printed document toward me. Your father updated his will 6 months ago, she said, her voice smooth and practiced. Derek inherits 70% of the company. I inherit 20% as co-founder. You get $50,000 to start fresh elsewhere. I stared at the paper. The words blurred. Dad would never. He told me, Maya. That was Derek. He wouldn't look at me. He wanted someone with business vision to lead, someone who could handle the pressure. Vanessa leaned back in her chair, arms crossed. He said you were too soft, too emotional. This is a business, not a charity. Her voice was syrup and venom. You're good at project work, sweetie, but leadership? That's not your strength. I felt my face burn. I want to see Mr. Richardson, I said. Dad's lawyer. He would have handled this. Vanessa waved her hand dismissively. We've retained new legal counsel. Richardson is outdated. This is all legitimate. Then Linda, the HR director, cleared her throat. She looked miserable. Maya, we're restructuring your position. You can stay on as a junior associate, or we can discuss severance. I couldn't breathe. Junior associate. I'd been a senior project manager for 3 years. I'd led teams, closed multi-million-dollar deals, earned respect from people twice my age. And now my sister-in-law, who'd never worked a day at this company, was telling me I was being demoted. In front of colleagues I'd worked with for years. I'm not signing anything, I said. My voice shook, but I stood. Vanessa's smile didn't reach her eyes. Take your time, but we'll need an answer by Monday. I walked out of that room in a daze. I wanted to scream, to cry, to call my dad and tell him what they were doing. But he was gone, and I'd never felt more alone. The next week was a nightmare. I showed up to work Monday morning. My keycard didn't work on the executive floor. The receptionist, Amy, looked embarrassed. Oh, system update, she mumbled. I'll get someone to help you. No one came. Derek's assistant told me all strategy meetings were on hold pending restructure. I walked past my father's office. Vanessa was inside, feet up on his desk, laughing on the phone. She saw me through the glass. She smiled, cold, triumphant. I tried to access the financial records that afternoon. Dad had always kept me in the loop on major projects. Locked out. Access restricted, the screen said. I sat at my desk, shaking. Then, 2 days later, Vanessa called an all-hands meeting. 60 people crammed into the main conference room. Employees who'd known me since I was a college intern. People I'd worked alongside, celebrated with, cried with when we lost my dad. Vanessa stood at the front, dressed like she was accepting an award. I'm thrilled to announce I'll be stepping in as co-interim CEO, she said. We're taking the company in an exciting new direction, streamlining operations, making tough but necessary changes. She looked right at me. Maya will be stepping back from project leadership to focus on administrative support. We need her skills where they're best used. The room went silent. I saw faces turn toward me. Confusion, pity. Priya, the finance manager, caught my eye from across the room. She didn't believe this. I could see it. But no one said a word. Their jobs were at risk. Vanessa's voice cut through the silence. Change is hard, but Dad, your father, knew when to let go. I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. After the meeting, I went back to my desk. My hands were shaking so hard I couldn't type. Then Derek appeared. He pulled up a chair, his voice low. Look, I know this is hard. I didn't look at him. But we need you to sign these transfer documents. It's just tax stuff, estate formalities. He slid a stack of papers toward me. I forced myself to read them. It wasn't tax stuff. It was a waiver of any claim to company shares, of any contested inheritance. You'll still get your 50,000, Derek said, but we need a clean transition. I looked up at him. Where's the actual will? I want to see Dad's signature. His jaw tightened. Don't make this harder, Maya. Vanessa's being generous, letting you stay on at all. And that's when I realized my own brother was erasing me. I'm not signing, I said. Vanessa's voice came from behind me. I hadn't even heard her walk up. Then maybe it's time you cleaned out your desk. I went home that night and cried until I couldn't breathe. I sat on my apartment floor, staring at a photo of me and Dad from last Christmas. He was smiling, arm around me, proud. And then I remembered something. 4 months before he died, Dad had asked me to lunch. That was unusual. We usually ate together at the office, quick and distracted. But that day, he took me to a quiet cafe. He seemed tired, serious. Halfway through the meal, he handed me a small key and a folded piece of paper. Keep this safe, he said. Don't tell anyone. If anything happens to me, go to First National Bank, box 447. I'd asked him why. He squeezed my hand. Just promise me. I promised. And then life got busy, and I forgot. Until now. I went to my jewelry box and found the key, still wrapped in his note. What they didn't know, what Vanessa couldn't have planned for, was that my father was a man who protected what he loved. I also remembered something else. Dad had been distant with Derek over the past year, especially after Vanessa pushed him to invest in her friend's shady crypto venture. Dad had refused, and Vanessa never forgave him for it. A chill ran down my spine. Dad knew. He knew what they were. I had 48 hours before they forced me out. It was time to find out what he left me. The next morning, I went to the bank. I handed the key to the manager. She led me to the vault. Inside the safety deposit box was a thick manila envelope. I opened it with shaking hands. The original lost will and testament, dated 2 months before his death, sealed and notarized. And a handwritten letter. Maya, if you're reading this, someone tried to cut you out. Don't let them. You are my legacy, not the money. Trust Richardson. I love you. Dad. I pressed the letter to my chest and sobbed. There was also a USB drive, labeled insurance. I called Mr. Richardson the second I got to my car. He answered on the first ring. Maya. Thank God. His voice was full of relief. I've been waiting for you to reach out. Your father instructed me not to interfere unless you came to me first. Vanessa showed me a will, I said. She said Dad left me $50,000. That will is a fake, Richardson said, his voice hard. I never drafted it. He explained everything. The real will left me 51% controlling interest in the company. Derek got 25%. The remaining 24% was split among key employees as stock options. Vanessa, as non-family and married after the business was established, got nothing. I tried to reach you, Richardson said, but Vanessa blocked my calls at the office, told staff I was no longer representing the estate. My blood boiled. There's someone else you need to talk to, Richardson said. Priya Sharma, your finance manager. She's noticed some irregularities. He connected us that afternoon. Priya met me at a coffee shop off campus. She looked nervous, angry. Vanessa's been transferring funds, she said quietly. $240,000 from operational accounts to a personal account in the last week. That's embezzlement, I said. I know, I documented everything, but I needed to tell someone I could trust. She slid a folder across the table. Bank transfers, dates, amounts. What do you want to do? She asked. I looked at the evidence, at my father's will in my bag. We call an emergency board meeting, I said. Tomorrow. Richardson set it up. Meanwhile, Vanessa and Derek got arrogant. Vanessa posted on social media, shopping for a new house, tagged herself as CEO. I heard from a coworker that Derek told someone, I couldn't handle the pressure. And then I overheard Vanessa in the break room. She was laughing with someone. She actually thought Daddy loved her more. He was just guilty and soft. That was my breaking point. I got the termination letter that afternoon. Effective in 72 hours. Signed by Derek. I didn't react. I didn't argue. I called Richardson. Schedule the meeting, I said. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. The conference room was full. Derek, Vanessa, 5 board members, all longtime company veterans. Priya, Linda from HR, senior staff. Vanessa looked annoyed. What's this about? We have the will. Everything's settled. The door opened. Mr. Richardson walked in. I followed. Vanessa's face went tight. Maya, if this is about severance negotiation, no, I said, my voice calm. This is about the truth. Richardson placed the original will on the table. Certified, notarized, dated 2 months before Dad's death. One of the board members, Gerald, picked it up. He'd known my dad for 20 years. This is his handwriting, Gerald said slowly. I've seen it 1,000 times. Derek's face went pale. That's impossible. Vanessa, you said, it's outdated. Vanessa's voice cracked. He changed his mind. He told us. I pulled out the USB drive. He left this too, I said. I plugged it into the projector. The screen flickered, and there was my father, sitting in his study, 2 months before he died. His voice filled the room. I'm making this recording as a safeguard. My daughter Maya is the heart of this company. She earns respect, doesn't demand it. I'm leaving her controlling interest, because I trust her. If my son and his wife are watching this, know that I gave you chances. You chose greed. Silence. Crushing, absolute silence. Vanessa's mouth opened and closed. This is a setup, she hissed. She fabricated. The will was filed with the state probate court the day after it was signed, Richardson said. Public record. Priya stood. She handed out copies of the financial report. Also, she said, her voice steady, Vanessa transferred $240,000 from company operational funds to a personal account in the last week. I have the records. The board members erupted. Derek turned to Vanessa, his face white. Vanessa, what did you do? She pointed at me, desperate. She was never good enough. Your father pitied her. I stood. Every eye in the room turned to me. He didn't pity me, I said, my voice steady. He believed in me, and you were so blinded by dollar signs, you never saw the difference. The board voted unanimously to uphold the real will. Linda, looking relieved, confirmed the termination letter was void. One of the senior engineers, Tom, spoke up. I've worked with Maya for 6 years. She earned this. Others nodded. Vanessa grabbed her purse and stormed out, shouting about lawyers, empty threats. Derek stayed, head in his hands, destroyed. 2 weeks later, I was officially installed as majority shareholder and CEO. Vanessa's embezzlement triggered a legal investigation. She and Derek faced financial consequences. No criminal charges, but forced restitution. Separation from the company. Derek sent me a text one night. I'm sorry. I didn't see who she was. I didn't see who you were either. I stared at it for a long time. I didn't reply. Maybe someday I would, but forgiveness takes time. I promoted Priya to CFO. Reinstated the employee stock options from Dad's real will. Staff loyalty skyrocketed. I kept Dad's photo on my desk, not as a shrine, as a reminder. For years I thought being kind meant being weak. Dad knew better. Strength isn't loud, it's prepared. I walked through the office one evening. My office now. I felt the weight of responsibility, but also pride. The next weekend, I visited Dad's grave. I placed fresh flowers on the headstone. I've got it from here, Dad, I whispered. I finally understood why he'd been so quiet those last few months. He wasn't fading. He was protecting me from the greed he saw coming. And because of that, I didn't just survive their betrayal. I rose above it. If you've ever had to fight for what was rightfully yours, you're not alone. Where are you watching from? Drop it below. I always check. Family betrayal, especially over money, cuts deep. But sometimes the people who try to bury you don't realize you were planted, not broken. Subscribe if you want more stories about standing up, speaking truth, and taking back your power. And if you've been through something like this, whether it's inheritance, business, or just being underestimated, share your story in the comments. We're listening. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one.